There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
The Stinger brand has been pretty darn synonymous with high-end premium accessories for many, many years. But recently, the brand has made a deep commitment into other categories such as power sports audio, especially in the accessories, lighting, and source unit categories. Today, we're lucky enough to be joined by their Director of Training and Events, Jeff Smith from Stinger and Amp Global, who'll be in the studio with us today to tell us all about Stinger and power sports audio. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. Stinger Power Sports Audio starts now. If this was just a few years ago, we were here talking about power sports audio. First of all, was power sports audio even a thing a couple years ago? Maybe not. But nowadays, man, if you're a shop, it is hard to deny the power sports category has literally blown up. And with that has come a lot of innovation and a lot of different brands that have thrown their throw their game into the hat. One of those brands is, of course, Stinger. Now, I mentioned at the top, they do accessories, they do lighting and source units. And I know source units, you're like, so if you don't know Stinger does source units, where have you been, man? Where have you been? The high 10 has been making waves, but they also have some really interesting offerings in the power sports audio category. So without further ado, love to welcome back a good friend and expert at Stinger, all things Stinger rather. He's the Director of Training Events for Amp Global, Mr. Jeff Smith.
Hey Ben, what's going on, buddy?
Long time no see, Mr. Smith. How are you?
It's been a minute, man. I'm doing quite well.
Well, today is your big debut on our new platform, and you're here to talk about power sports audio and Stinger. I'm sure people are going to watch this. Maybe not everybody has been up to date with the major moves Stinger has made in a couple different categories, this one being one of them.
Yeah, we took a plunge and decided to expand the line a bit because we saw many opportunities for our dealers to grow in these alternative markets, whether it be power sports or marine. You can't always count on, the cardio business, just traditional walking into the door. But the fact that the same customer can turn into multiple different channels of business. They can be your regular traditional core cardio, they can be your power sports guy, your marine guy, your safety guy, everything. So it makes sense just to capitalize and sell that customer as much as possible in today's market.
Now, in your opinion, Jeff, you're a guy, it's in your title, right? You do all the training with all the dealers everywhere, but you also go to the events. So what have you seen as far as trends in events, as far as events go?
Well, I mean, the fact that a lot of manufacturers are expanding their offerings and showing clients that there's more than just, like we said, more than just traditional cardio. So at a lot of the events, you see manufacturers like us and some other guys out there holding different types of trainings. Of course, we're going to train you on the traditional cardio products, but we're also going to break it down into dedicated power sports, dedicated marine, some of the marine and power sports stuff crossover, dedicated safety. So we just want to make sure that our dealers come to these events and get the most for their money and the most education. This is why we participate in online events like you guys. CMA is there to give these guys all the content they need on demand whenever they have the time to go back and get their learn on.
Well, getting your learn on is what it's all about. One last question before we dive in.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what you know of this power sports customer for dealers who might not have dealt with this customer. Is there anything special that you need to know?
Man, this power sports customer doesn't look like any other customer. You never know who this is. This could be, the young kid that comes for a tent job. This could be his dad that has the lifted truck, and you see a tow hitch on the back, and you go, "Well, what are you towing?" He's either going to be towing a trailer for work or trailer for toys. So those are always, ideas to look at vehicles and look, for ways to increase your exposure to a potential customer. But the teenage group, middle-aged men, women, you name it, there is no such thing as what the power sports marine customer looks like, because it's all types of demographics. But you just have to have that offering available in your store to even pique their interest, because there may be someone out at the four-wheel shop that's the go-to place. There may be someone out at the marina that's the go-to marine person. But when they've already trusted you with their vehicle and you've built that rapport with them, and you offer all these additional services: car audio, window tint, wheels and tires, power sports applications. Now, marine applications, they're your customer for life.
Well said. And you know what? Perfect time. We're gonna segue. We got a little video that really showcases a top piece where I know we're gonna dig into in detail. But we got a tape. Let's roll it, and we'll come back and dive into your presentation.
Awesome.
Introducing the SPX M1, a hyper-versatile marine and power sports media player and control hub. Perfect for cruising the waters, hitting the trails, or just driving to work. The SPX M1 adds a 2.7-inch full-color optically bonded display with LED backlit buttons, making it easy to view in any lighting situation, even while wearing polarized sunglasses. The SPX M1 is super rugged and IPX6 rated, built to withstand all the elements. The SPX M1 can be installed in your boat, side-by-side, or vehicle to add a ton of amazing features. The SPX M1 has Bluetooth for music streaming, an aux input, a USB input, a camera input for backup camera or any other angle you want, and a built-in 4-channel amplifier, delivering 25 watts per channel and a 7-band EQ. On top of all that, it has 4 channels of 2-volt RCA output, which is great for adding amplifiers to your rig and taking advantage of the SPX M1's easy subwoofer control. A built-in battery voltage gauge with a low voltage warning chime lets you keep an eye on your vehicle's electrical system so you never pull too much. If you combine the SPX M1 with the new switch hub, it becomes a command center for all your accessories. The switch hub has a solid-state 4-channel accessory bank with high current capability. It makes adding and controlling accessories to your new infotainment system incredibly easy. It has 3 20-amp outputs and 1 40-amp output. You can even combine outputs if you have an accessory that draws more than 40 amps. All outputs are thermally protected and protected against short circuits. Each output can be individually triggered with either a positive or negative trigger, and the switch hub has LEDs that show which outputs are active. The simple design makes for a clean install and eliminates the clutter of multiple high current relays and the wiring that goes with them. The switch hub and the SPX M1 are the perfect combination to add complete control of everything on your boat, side-by-side, or vehicle.
So I know we're going to dive into both those products that are featured there, but I do want to say one thing just to preface what we're about to learn here.
Hmm.
Man, Stinger, they don't do entry level models, do they? Like, look at the head unit line. It's like, boom, everything fully loaded. So it seems like the same pattern with this unit. So, Jeff, I'm going to give you the floor. Please, let's get this presentation underway and get right into it.
Awesome. Alrighty, so Stinger Power Sports and Marine. The reason why we say Power Sports and Marine, Ben, is because a lot of our products cross pollinate between these two channels of business, and you can use them in either format. So, in this 3 channels of business, we pretty much focus on audio, accessories for installation to make things your life easier, and also lighting. Starting with what we just saw in that amazing video is the SPX M1. This is going to be our digital media player, or our head unit that's available for power sports and marine applications. So this head unit is meant to go off-road or offshore. You can throw water at it, you can throw mud at it, you can throw anything you want at it, and this head unit is going to go above and beyond what any typical head unit you would normally use in these applications would do for you. So let's talk about what comes in the box. So first and foremost, you're going to get the radio itself. Now this is a standard 3-inch can style radio bin, and I have one here. You can kind of see it's a standard 3-inch can style radio. So to go into any of those standard 3-inch hole dashes, it does have a 2.7-inch screen on it. It's going to come with your quick disconnect harness that you can see in the photo here. It's going to come with all your stainless steel hardware, your mounting bracket, a trim bezel that goes around the head unit face itself so that once you mount it, you can cover those screws, some threaded studs that go into the back of the unit to hold the U bracket for extra stability on the back of the head unit itself, and a variety of different mounting screws as well. So let's start with some of the basic information. When people come into your stores and they ask, can I use a standard head unit in a boat? Or can I use a standard head unit in my side by side? Well, can you? Yeah, of course you can. But you need to think about a lot of things, Ben, because in this environment, is that head unit going to be water resistant? You're going to get mud in it, you're going to get moisture in it, all these type of applications. Is it UV resistant? Because we know in an ATV or in a boat, you're going to get a super amount of sunlight beating down on this screen. And is it anti-corrosive? Because once you go into the elements and then you come back and you clean this boat or clean your power sports vehicle off, is it going to be able to withstand all of this material that you've washed off of it, all these different types of debris? So let's start with some of the main features of the SPX M1. First and foremost, it is IPX6 rated, Ben, which means this guy is built 100% tough for all the different elements. So it's water resistant. IPX6 means it can handle a direct pressure spray from a water gun as you're spraying the mud or salt water off of your vehicle. The circuit board is definitely conformably coated to prevent any type of shock and or sparks or anything that may happen from moisture getting into the circuit board itself. And most importantly, for this type of head unit, the screen itself is a optically bonded head unit. Optically bonded display. This is a huge factor due to the rough elements you're in, water capabilities, dust and debris, and things like that as well.
You see my hand up. Sorry, I
Yep.
didn't. I've
Yes, sir.
heard
Gentleman
this.
in the front row.
Yes,
How can
that's
I
me.
help
That's
you?
me. Just for clarification, because I've heard that term thrown around. Would you be able to expound on what that means to be optically bonded?
Sure. Hold on. I have a slide here to kind of tell you about being
Oh,
optically bonded.
of
Okay.
course you do.
So, so being optically bonded, first and foremost, in this type of application, it means that this unit is going to give you better visibility in direct sunlight. So instead of you having a piece of plastic over your LCD screen, we fill that gap with the material that makes it completely solid. Okay, and that's going to bring all the colors, all the imaging directly to the top and make it crystal clear. Secondly, it fills up all that void so that no water, moisture, fog, anything can get between those two layers of the LCD screen and the front protective panel. Thirdly, you're going to be able to have a stronger multi-tier display. So when you have a rock hit it, you have a beer can hit it, you have, whatever, is going on, excuse me, out on the waves or out in the trails, it's going to be impact resistant because it's an even more dense screen so that you won't have impact issues. And then, of course, it being sealed prevents anything from getting under that display and causing dust and mud and anything else from degrading that actual display. So having it optically bonded it just means a better reliability of the screen itself. Everything is that much more clear and more visible. But what makes it the best part about it is that if you wear polarized sunglasses
I was
on
just
your
going to ask you
boat,
about the
or
polarized
if your
sunglasses.
goggles
Yeah.
when you're out on your side by side are polarized to make
Mm.
your vision better, you're going to still be able to see the screen, the SPX M1 perfectly.
Ah, perfect. Because most boaters do wear polarized sunglasses when they're on the water.
Yeah, and a lot of guys who have side by sides, and even me, I race BMX, and my goggles for my
Mm.
my helmet are polarized, so you can see everything out in the sun that much better.
Sweet.
So, what features do you want in this type of media player or head unit for your side by side or for your marine application? Well, of course, you want different types of media playback. You want to be able to use 3.5 for aux from different phone when people are passing around an aux cable. You'd like Bluetooth, you'd like USB, you'd like some audio control. And the fact that you want to be able to control bass, treble, balance, and fade, sub level control if you have subwoofers and things like that. And what if we could give you some expandability and actually give you more additional features that are going to help you grow your system over time? Because we know not one person buys a system once and says they're set for life. They start with one sub, one set of speakers, they want to go to another set of speakers, another amp, and things like that. So having options for expandability are always super important.
I've told the wife that this is the last system I'll ever buy, though, just for the record.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's like telling her this is the last house, last
it's
pair
the
of
last
shoes,
one.
last
Last one, I
purse, whatever.
promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the main media functions within the SPX M1 are going to be the standard tuner functions. Not only will it do AM and FM, but it has a global tuner. So the global tuner allows you to set it for 8 different regions around the world. It also has weather band. So if you're out in the woods, out on the water, you want to be able to pay attention to that information that comes with the weather band radio, you have that feature along with you. Of course, it has Bluetooth capability for audio streaming. It does not have a microphone option for Bluetooth calling, so this is going to be a standalone source for Bluetooth audio streaming. And it is A2DP, so it has ability for high quality music streaming directly to the unit itself. And it will take any type of normal Bluetooth from Android, iPhone, most of the standard ways of connecting via Bluetooth. Additionally, it has a USB as well, and that USB is a standard USB Type A, so you can plug your thumb drives directly into it or plug a smartphone directly into it as well. Along with that, it has a 3.5 auxiliary input. Now, Ben, you can see on the screen here in the menu, you actually can turn the dial and go to that specific source. It'll say aux, Bluetooth, USB, whatever you have connected to that unit, so that way you can access it really easy. Now, let's talk about using the 3.5 input. The 3.5 and the USB, since they're behind the unit itself, we do offer Powersports marine grade type of accessories under the Stinger audio accessory lines. So just like we would normally have like our RCAs, which we'll talk about in a second, we have a 3.5, the SMRUX, and the SMRUX USB 3. These are going to be 3-foot extensions that allow you to bring that USB or 3.5 around to the front of your dash so you can plug your phone or plug your thumb drive or that aux cable directly into it. Standard Stinger quality as far as audio capabilities, copper conductors throughout, weatherproof jackets that are better than a normal cardio material, and they're going to have waterproof flap covers as well. The You can see in the unit as it's sticking up the thread type to be able to cut a hole and be able to thread it in so that it makes a very tight fit to the dash of the vehicle as well. So we kind of thought ahead of this and made sure that we give you all the accessories that are out there that you would need in this entire platform.
To be clear, that's not included in the box. Those are additional accessories to order.
Those are additional accessories that you can add depending upon what the customer would like.
Gotcha.
Now, another very unique feature is that we even give you a backup camera input. Why backup camera input? Because you want to be able to keep up with your trail mates behind you to see what's going on. You could be going through the mud. You want to be able to back up a trailer or moving you could do whatever. And what's really neat is because I'm sure after all the 8,000 trainings we've done, Ben, under the AMP umbrella, we have a lot of different companies. So what do? We go over to our EchoMaster safety brand and we say, hey, we have a need for a camera that'll work in dirt, water, whatever you have. And they said, here you go. Here's a PCAM 150. PCAM, of course, EchoMaster 3-year warranty. PCAM 150 is a IP67 rated camera, Ben. This guy can get beat to crap and back. This guy will take anything you throw at it in a marine application and a power sports application. Being able to be submerged up to 30 feet in water, being able to be high pressure washed, whatever, and a huge viewing angle, 170-degree viewing angle is going to allow you to have a great visibility behind your boat or your ATV machine.
So I've been talking to a bunch of Powersports guys. They love this feature. All right. The backup camera is awesome because you want to see how, you want to leave your boys in the dust. I get it. You know, it'd be awesome.
What's that?
Get a box that can wipe or spray it and clean it.
That would be cool.
Guys go nuts for that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Right.
Yeah, I can throw that into the hat at our next
throw that into the hat. That'd be sick.
Hey, Ben from Canada said we need a box with a windshield wiper.
Wiper or a spray nozzle or something to keep it clean.
Or just put some super nano coating on it so that everything just falls off of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're going to call that the Ben Wu feature.
So how big is that screen? Sorry, while you're there.
That screen's a 2.7-inch full color LCD screen. So
Hmm.
it's not the largest screen out there, but it's definitely large enough to be visible because you're typically really close in the dash, right?
I'm going to argue
So
that in this category, that's pretty darn big.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it's pretty nice. So some of the standard audio features in the SPX M1, first and foremost, it has four-channel high-powered output capability speaker leads, so you can power four standard speakers from the internal amplifier in the unit. Now, it's totally up to the customer and the installer, but that internal power can be turned off and on. If you're going to use external amplifiers, you can go into the menu and physically turn that IC circuit off so that you're not wasting power or creating additional heat inside the head unit itself. And you can use them both at the same time. So if you're just running a subwoofer through the RCA preamp outputs to an amplifier, or you're using the four channel inside the SPX M1, you can definitely use them both at the same time if you choose to do so. The unit does have two sets of pre outputs, a front set of outputs that are 2 volt, and you also have a rear set of output that is also selectable, rear or subwoofer. That's a 2 volt output as well. Once you choose subwoofer bin instead of rear, it now gives you the option to have a sub-level control directly on the screen. And that's the first adjustment you come to every time, because typically you're going to turn the volume and adjust the subwoofer. Your volume is a simple knob when you turn the volume knob on a unit, and your first press is always going to be subwoofer adjustment. So all the things someone would want to get to really quickly. Once you go into the menu, you can go in and select your crossover capability, crossover adjustments, high pass or low pass for your different speaker needs and subwoofer applications. And then, of course, in order to tailor the music to fit the best of what the customer would like and the vehicle or vessel that it's in, we have a 7 band equalizer that has 8 preset genres, and you also have the ability to custom set it for that particular tuning style that that customer would like for that particular application.
You know,
Now,
you- mm,
think about this, Ben. ATV marine applications. How often are you going to use this machine? A couple times during the summer, a couple times maybe in the fall. Then you put it away. Then you come back next season, spray everything off, clean everything up. Now you got to start all over again. Set your crossovers again, set your radio stations again, set your EQ again, all that stuff. What a pain in the butt, right? No, the
mm.
SPX M1 is non-volatile memory. Once you set it,
Ah,
it stays, and it can stay unplugged for a really, really, really long time. I think I've had displays that have been unplugged for over a year, and they
really?
kept all of the memory
So,
with
so when
no
I unplug
problems.
my battery in the fall to store it for the winter, I come back, I plug her back in, all my memory settings, my
All the
crossovers,
memory
whatever,
settings are saved in the
still there.
EEPROM. Yep, everything is
Sweet.
still there.
I,
Very
I
neat feature.
I have wanted to comment on something. So it's got the subwoofer out with the subwoofer level control with and the built-in crossover settings. So that's a nice future-proof kind of unit whereby you can just sell them the deck and four, for example, and
Correct.
then just use the unit power to run the drivers, and then add a subwoofer amp, and just like a car, really.
Just like a car. This is
You
what we
know,
were talking about earlier, an
mhm,
expandability,
mhm.
because you may want to just get the sale done, get the head unit in, get some speakers in, then later, as an upgrade, they add sub, add camera, add whatever else down the line.
Sweet,
Pretty
makes
cool.
sense.
All
Makes
right.
sense.
So next one is going to be a voltage gauge, because most boats, most ATVs don't have huge alternators. You want to make sure you know what's going on with the voltage within these particular vehicles. So we do have a voltage meter that's available. When you press and hold the four buttons on the upper right hand side there, it will actually show you the voltage that's being received at the head unit. Now, this unit does work from 10.5 volts all the way up to 16 volts. So when you do reach down to 10.5 volts, you do get a warning on the screen that you've reached low voltage, and you should think about either shutting things down, charging up, turning on auxiliary battery, or whatever you may have for power at that point in time.
This is really important in a boat situation because most of the time you're going to put that radio on from your cranking battery.
Right. So
And
Ben, because this head unit is multiple applications, imagine if someone built this into a cooler, put it into a trailer, put it into anything. Now
mm,
you have the ability to always have this radio do all these different things in any type of application. I've seen guys build this into coolers, dude, and it's super cool. Pair
mm,
this with some of our marine speakers we'll talk about later, and it's a great application.
nice.
Yeah. And we already talked about the EEPROM, so no need for the constant 12 volts in this guy. So simplified expandability. So we talked about expanding on the audio side of things. Let's talk about expanding into some additional things as far as being able to have switch control from the head unit itself.
Yeah.
Because think about it. marine applications, power sports applications, what are you adding? You're adding a horn, you're adding lights, additional fans to keep the radiators cool. Um,
More
all types
lights.
of different things. More lights, you have a separate amplifier for your inside speakers, a separate a separate amplifier for your cans on the back. So many different things that you could potentially do. So one of the things that we thought would be extremely neat was add accessory control inside of the SPX M1. Why? Because this will alleviate the amount of switches you have to add to the dash of your boat, amount of switches you have to add to your dash in your power sports vehicle, and then the fact of we can control all this and do it all through the head unit. So everything, all the control is focused into one area. So by pushing this button in the upper right hand corner of the SPX M1, you access this menu called accessory control. And there are 4 switches that control 4 independent outputs. Now, each one of these outputs is a positive output bin, and it's a 100 milliamp output. So it's more than enough to trigger a standard 30 amp Bosch relay. So think about that. Having the ability to simplify your life, reduce the amount of switches, reduce the amount of install,
One
reduce
interface.
one interface, reduce
Mm.
the amount of clutter, just makes the SPX M1 that much even more of a want and desire for the installer to sell to the customer, because this is one of those things when the installer sees it, goes, man, this is going to make my life that much easier. Let me push this feature to my customer.
Especially depending on the environment you're working in, Jeff. Like if Power Sports, simply you have that small center console, usually doesn't necessarily have a lot of space. Smaller vessels
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have a
So
lot of dash space.
yeah, there's so many different dashes out there, and
Hmm.
you have to figure out which switches you want. Do you want the switch that says Moonlight Chaser, Bigfoot Chasing, or all
Yep,
those different
yep.
things they put on the different switches? This makes it that much easier. You do it all through the head unit. You don't even have to take up any of that
See,
space.
this is now where Stinger kicks in, because this is like taking it outside of what every other source unit can do.
Now
You're
let's
dual
take it one
purposing the
step
screen.
further.
Oh,
Take
you're
it
not
one
done.
step
I'm sorry,
further.
my bad.
All
Let's
right.
keep going. Yeah.
So someone told me, and someone sent this picture of this wiring on the left and said, "You got a boat, Ben, and it might look similar to some of the wiring under the dash in your boat, buddy."
It's, I might recognize it.
All right. So think about it. Not every installer is a great at wiring installer. They get stuff in,
Mhm,
they get it done because they're
mhm.
fresh for time or whatever else. So sometimes having the ability to wire things a lot easier would be an extreme advantage over some other ways. Everyone's not an expert installer like over here on the right hand
That's a
side.
Marty Adams Chuck picture. I'm sure of it.
There you go. Install of the year type stuff right there. Laid
Yeah.
out perfectly. Every screw's north, south, east, and west. Every
Yeah.
relay's labeled.
Yeah.
Everything, right? So we
Ridiculous.
took it one step further and we thought about that accessory control, thought about the difficulty of wiring relays, figuring out polarities and normally open, normally close, and things like that. And we decided to create the SPX SH440 or Switch Hub. Switch Hub, just like we saw in that video that started the episode, is a 100 amp solid state relay system bin. So this guy has the ability to have 4 outputs, one 40 amp output and 3 independent 20 amp outputs. And each one of these outputs can be triggered from the SPX M1's positive triggers or from 4 negative triggers. And this allows you to simplify your wiring, simplify your output capability, and simplify the ability to control all the additional electronics that you may add to your power sports machine or your marine vessel. And each one of the outputs is thermally protected from overload and also protected from dead short as well. And they're solid state switching inside of it, so it will self heal itself once you relieve that short. Let's get a little bit deeper into what the switch hub will do for you. So 8 independent inputs, 4 negative and 4 positive. So think about this. You take a 4 gauge wire, up to 4 gauge input, so up to 100 amps of input, and you have you have 4 outputs, 140 and 320s. If you have the need to power something that's even higher than 40 or higher than a 20, you can cascade these guys together and you can create a 60 amp, or you can create 240 amps, so you can create a 60 and a 40, or you can tie them all together and create 100 amps. Totally depends upon what you need it for. So you have the ability to run all of these triggers directly into the unit and be able to control them from the head unit. Now, status LEDs, as you can see here on the back side of the unit, when you see in the second position over, this is going to be your main power input. Then your 40 amp is going to be to the left and your 320s will be to the right. And there's going to be status LEDs for each one of these. So when you activate the input, either from a switch or preferably from the SPX M1, you'll see the output LED turn green. That means that channel is active. You just activated channel 1. We're going to go ahead and activate channel 3. Channel 1 is going to activate your lights or whatever else, your horns or whatever. Channel 3 is going to activate an amplifier or anything else you may be doing. Now, all of a sudden, you have a rollover, you have something come undone, and all of a sudden, that unit goes to red, which means there's a short. Okay, now what we need to do is get to the SPXM1, see that that red light is on. Okay, I know exactly what circuit that is. Let me go find out what's going on. Once you relieve that circuit, it goes right back to green without you doing anything else, without you finding a fuse on the boat, finding a fuse out in the woods, wherever you may be. It's all built inside, completely solid state, and it will self-heal itself once you relieve that short or thermal situation. That's super neat.
So convenient, especially these applications, like you said, in the forest or on a boat, like at a dock somewhere in a yacht
Yep.
club. You know what I mean? Like this is not
Yep.
stuff you can easily bring into your shop to diagnose. So that really helps installers for sure. I have to. You mentioned so. Let's say I have the source unit now. I've added the switcher. Now I've got 4
Mhm.
right outputs. But let's say I need another 4. I could purchase another one of these and trigger them through switches manually.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Right. So you can forget all this big panel of relays under a boat dash, under the dash, or millions different places tucked away in your side by side. You now have a spot to mount this SPXM1. It's very small. It's about 2 inches by 5 inches, and all the wiring is that simple. Inputs, outputs, triggers, all in one spot. So think of it, Ben, as 4 relays waiting for you to tell them what to do in one
With
position,
LEDs.
with LEDs,
Yeah.
with internal protection, without the need for external fusing. Everything right there on the
And
spot.
might I also add no terminals to put on because these things have screw in, as
All
I can
screw-in
see.
terminals, right? So no crimping
Yeah.
terminals,
No
things like
crimping
that, where they
required.
can, corrode or fall off,
Hmm.
from being out in the woods and things like that, being jarred around. So this guy's super cool, man. This was a really good product that we came up with, and kind of made it our own by adding that stinger touch and feel that would make installers proud to use it.
Yeah. Very sweet. Nice piece.
So just a quick example of some of the things you can add to it using, positive triggers and negative triggers. So this is one thing I want to get people to understand, because I know reading the manual is sometimes difficult for installers, but there's 4 inputs for positive, 4 inputs for negative. You cannot use all 4 at the same time. You
Right.
can use 1 and 2 as positive or negative, and 3 and 4 as positive or negative. You can't have one positive and one negative. You can't trip it at the same time.
Mm, mm.
So you have to use one or the other on either side. And it shows you kind of how to cascade the outputs, either doubling them up at the component or using a distribution block externally if you want to cascade multiple outputs together. So whether it's whips, fog lights, audio gear, fans, whatever you can think of, the SPXM1, the SPXM1 combined with the switch hub allows you to do many different things. So now let's talk about moving into fitting the SPXM1 into the dash of your vehicle or vessel. So we know a lot of power sports vehicles have different applications, and we talked about this 3-inch can style radio design that's universal for this type of head unit, right? And we are familiar with that within our industry. But what we did, because we are AMP and we think about all these different things and the capabilities we have to manufacture and blend different parts of our company. So we went ahead and walked over to our pack side of our company, took our best kits plastics machines, and made dedicated dash kits for some of the most popular off-road side-by-side vehicles in the marketplace. So we have 2 available for the Razor, different year styles here, and we also have one available for the Polaris Ranger. Sir, up front, did you have a question again?
I did. Is this me or is this another one of those unique product moments?
Very unique product moment. So this dash kit is something that's offered under the Stinger Power Sports line, and it's not built only for the SPXM1. It's the universal
Hmm.
3-inch hole opening. So if you're not selling SPXM1, you could be selling a head unit from any of the other manufacturers out there: Clarion, JL, um, Wet Sounds, MB Core, any of those guys out there that sell 3-inch can radios, and you want to put them into these vehicle applications, the Razors and Rangers. We make this dash kit universally available to you. It is not specifically sold to the SPXM1. It just fits the SPXM1. It's for these vehicle applications, just like a standard dash kit you'd buy out there. That dash kit doesn't know if you're putting in an Alpine, Kenwood, Sony, JVC. It just knows you're preparing that dash for a very nice aftermarket head unit.
Sweet. That should be a must-have, like in stock.
And one of the things we took a step forward, Ben, also is that we made sure that the plastic we use in this is a dedicated, specific OEM type plastic that is resistant to scratches, resistant to fading, resistant to the heat and abuse you're going to put into your power sports vehicle. So we made sure that we built this thing above and beyond what a standard automotive grade dash kit would be made out of.
I wouldn't expect any less, to be honest with you.
So once you look at what the stock dash looks like in some of the razors that come with radio delete, we simply take that same panel, mount the SPXM1 along with the Razor Dash or Razor Dash 2, and it looks factory and in place without a doubt.
Totally.
Another thing, okay, we talked about the ability for the SPXM1 to go into marine applications as well. So we have two different C dashes available for the same 3-inch style radio. Now, a lot of people go, well, it's not necessarily the same shape as a marine radio. Well, that's because we made the ability for this plate to cover many different applications, whether it's your standard rectangular style radio or if it's your old school weatherproof, style that we've installed for years with the flip door and things like that.
The bubble.
The bubble or the larger 1.5 like flip screen
Yeah.
head units and stuff like that. We made the C dash big enough so that you can cover the holes for any of those radios and be able to mount this newer technology SPXM1 directly into that same location. Same ideas. OEM style, high heat resistant, high UV resistant, everything that you would need, stainless steel hardware, everything to make it element proof for these type of applications. And both of these and all the razor kits are all available and have been shipping for over 2 years. Ben, this is nothing new. We've been in this game and have learned a lot from all these different applications.
We just gotta make people aware that it's available.
Making people
don't try to make your own kit, guys. Just order one from Stinger.
Now let's take a look even further outside of the box. This is a 1930 custom Ford Model A that one of our dealers, Boulevard Customs here in Lakeland, Florida, did, and they thought outside of the normal bubble here. They had a customer who wanted an upgraded audio system in this particular vehicle. We're talking a 1930 Model A, Ben. The dash in this is
no radio spot,
dude. There's no shaft radio. There's no DIN. There's no DIN and a half. There's nothing. So John and Robert, they took it upon themselves to build this custom overhead console in this Model A, and they built a spot for the SPXM1 to go in. They gave a spot, if you see in the far right, that's your USB for your phone or for your thumb drive. Now this Model A has Bluetooth. It has a backup camera, everything, because they thought outside of the box and use this SPXM1 to bring that customer anything and everything they could imagine. So we talked about coolers, we talked about trailers, we talked about boats, side-by-sides, and now we have a 1930 Model A. I mean, come on, there's unlimited thought processing capabilities that you can have if you take the time, learn the products that are out there and available from manufacturers like us, and apply them in every possible custom application to make your life that much easier. Pretty cool, right?
Very cool. I like the outside the box. That's always innovative to see stuff
outside
like
the box is what makes you big money. When you provide solutions,
because the owner of that has been told no 5 times before that.
Exactly. Yeah. And now he's going to go to a show and someone's going to go, well, where's your radio? And he shows someone who did this. These guys did. What brand is it? Blah, blah, blah. So it's going to go a long way. Long way. So now we've talked about the head unit, let's move into what's going to happen after the head unit. We're going to talk about the speakers. So the speakers that are available are SEA speakers, are 6.5-inch drivers only, and we have them available in 3 different color formats. So we have them available in white, which is standard marine colors. We also have them available in a sport style grill. These are going to be available in silver, also in black. Okay, and these are available in RGB and non-RGB different applications, because not every customer wants to glow at night. Not every customer wants to, have their boat, looking like a disco party. So we make sure that we have the SEA 65 available in RGB and non-RGB. Completely protected for waterproof gasket on the back. It comes with stainless steel mounting hardware, and you're going to have your different connections for speaker inputs along with your RGB controller in order to go between two speakers to control the RF remote in order to set your different RGB colors, and also for controlling up to 6 sets of speakers from a single remote control as well. So these guys are definitely element ready. Power handling on these guys is going to be typical of what we see in our amplifiers and head units. So 75 watts RMS from either our amplifiers or from a head unit without any problem. Um, Polypropylene style cones to make sure that the cones don't give up during play in marine and power sports applications. UV treated um, grills, everything. These speakers are built to take a beating, and they sound really good too, Ben.
How
Out
about on
in
deck power?
deck power, they're super efficient. So
Mm.
that's one thing you'll see in our entire line of speakers. All these drivers are super efficient, and they can handle the power from deck power. So we've definitely tested it on the SPX M1. We've tested on other head units, without a doubt. Very, very good sounding 6.5-inch coaxials for marine and power sports applications. Okay.
Hmm.
Now let's do a big step up and go over to the big boys. When you see these guys installed in a lot of applications, that's why we make multiple different colors so that they fit the cosmetic aesthetics within the vehicle. Like we said, with and without RGB, white, silver, and black, so that you can make sure they fit into the cosmetic needs of that vehicle. Now, we also have subwoofers, Ben. We have this available in a 10-inch and 12-inch application. Now, the SCA 12S4. This is a single voice coil 12-inch woofer that does have a removable grill. The grill itself can be painted to match if you need to match it to a vehicle application or boat application. Now, this particular woofer itself is built to work in a lot of different applications, Ben. It will work in a sealed application, a vented application, and most importantly, in marine
IB.
applications, it works IB or free air. And
Hmm.
these are very, very good sounding woofers. They have been tested along like the SEA 6.5s, salt, fog, moisture, you name it. They are completely built for these elements that they would be up against. Now, one of the things that most people are going to look at and they go, man, these things are very low power rated. Here's a 12-inch subwoofer that's only rated at 150 watts RMS and 300 watts peak. Well, that's because this driver is super efficient, Ben. And our amplifiers that we're going to talk about here shortly are built to give that exact amount of power to these subwoofers. Don't discount the power input, because when you have something that's efficient to work with that, it's going to hit just as hard, play just as low, and give you the bass that really rumbles and shakes you with the right amount of power input. And I've had this conversation with dealers before, because they go, wait a minute, this amplifier only makes 600 watts at 4 ohms. This one makes 600 watts at 2 ohms or 1 ohm. It doesn't matter. As long as you pair it with the right amount of subwoofer and amplifier, it's going to always sound the same. 600 watts at 1 ohm is no different than 600 watts at 4 ohm. Same thing with this subwoofer, 10-inch or 12-inch. 150 watts RMS versus 300 watt, and with 300 watts peak power capability, you're going to see that this guy really gets down and can make some serious bass. Like we said, free air applications, cut it right into the bow of the boat and be able to, give you good bass from under the seat, inside the console or wherever else. These subwoofers really get down and give you some good bass. Now let's talk amplifiers. The SPX amplifiers. They're available in three different formats: a 350 watt 2-channel, a 700 watt 4-channel, and a 1,000 watt 5-channel. Now, Ben, dealers, I wish I had one here to even show you, but we cannot keep these things in stock. They are awesome sounding, they're awesome performance, and they're very small and compact, and they fit in a lot of different applications.
It's so funny that you said that you don't have one there, because I'm looking at that 5 channel. I'm ready for some like giant, old school, but it's not, is
No,
it?
no,
No,
that
I didn't
5
think
channel
so.
is probably maybe at the most maybe 10 inches by 6
Yeah.
inches and 2 inches tall. 90 by 4, 95 by 4, and 500 watts on the back end at 2 ohms.
Mm.
That guy is a monster. We cannot keep the SPX 1005 in stock, because dealers are putting them in boats and side by sides and in cars.
Yeah,
With
why not?
everything that's been going on in the pandemic, getting amplifiers and everything else has been super hard, and they've been slinging these amplifiers left and right. So let's start with the SPX 350 X2, two channel, 125 by 4 at 4 ohms, 350 watts at 4 ohm mono. At 2 ohms, it jumps up to 175 watts by 2. So plenty of power to drive a set of coaxials or to drive a single woofer if you wanted to drive one of the marine woofers. What's really neat about the amplifiers is that they all have um, modular style plugs on the end of them, Ben, so that they're not just bare wires coming out. You
Right.
can plug in your speaker inputs, plug in your RCA inputs, and they're going to be um, pass throughs as well. So you have an input and an output, so that
Nice.
you can daisy chain amplifiers with
Hmm.
using a single RCA input. Then you have a sub-level control that's flush mountable, that you can control master volume, or you can push it and it'll give you a 20 dB muting or attenuation function as well.
But you don't
Now,
need that if you have the head unit.
but if you have the head unit,
Yeah,
right,
you don't
you
need
won't
that.
need that. But not
Hmm.
everyone's going to have the SPXM1.
Right,
They
right,
may
right.
they
Gotcha,
may
gotcha.
already have an install that's already there with a different brand of head unit. But we just want to make sure that everyone knows that the Stinger brand is synonymous with performance, feature set, and very good sound
Is the
quality.
controller separate?
The controller comes with every amplifier.
Oh, every amp has a control.
And
Nice.
there's a reason why, Ben, is because you can actually link up to, if I'm not mistaken, I think we noticed it was 14. I think it was 14 or 16 amplifiers that you could go from in and out, pass through the
Daisy
pass through
chain.
the pass through before you lost full volt, of audio input. Because now you can create zones. Because if you go into one amp,
Mm,
RCA out to the next, out to the next, out to the next, and then you plug in the sublevel control. That sublevel control is going to work from that amplifier back to the beginning of the chain. Now,
gotcha.
that could be your zone one amplifier. Now you add two additional amplifiers for your cans or your wakeboard speakers or whatever else. You add another sublevel control after that one. Now that's going to work from that sublevel control down to that line. Now you have a volume knob for zone two. So it's a really neat way how
Interesting.
all these stuff works together in order to give you the ability to control the system the way that you want. So last is not least, the four channel, the SPX 750X4, 125 by 4, 175 per channel at 4 ohms or 350 by 2. So this guy you compare to a pair of coaxials on the front two channels, bridge the rear to a subwoofer, so that way you have the ability to play the entire vehicle. Since it's 2 ohm stable, now you can power four coaxials on the front two channels without having fader capability, since you're going to take your SPX M1 and turn that rear now into subwoofer and then
Mm,
have a dedicated subwoofer output. So if you want to be able to pair these guys and do any type of application, the amplifiers, SPX M1, switch hub, turning things off and on left and right, there's so many different things and capabilities you can do when you mix this entire family of products together.
very cool.
Really neat. They're waterproof, Ben. They are conformally coated. They have little covers to go over the wires and things like that in order
Where
to
are the
help.
controls, Jeff?
The controls are on the face of the amplifier on the
Okay.
bottom side, where next to the
Okay.
power and inputs, and where the speaker and RCA connections go into the amplifiers as well. Fully
Gotcha.
adjustable crossovers, high pass, low pass, and bypass, gain adjustments, crossover adjustments, everything on the face of this unit itself.
Sweet.
We do also offer custom mounting adapters for some of the power sports applications. This is a razor mounting bracket that mounts it up in the cowl of the razor. And you see here how the removable speaker harnesses,
That's a better shot of it. Yeah.
yep,
Gotcha.
and input RCA harnesses, everything plug right into the face of this guy on the face of the SPX amplifiers. So, since we've talked about that, let's get into some of the accessories that you can use. Stinger has been known from day one, Ben, for our RCAs, power wire, and things like that. So, we can't normally stick a car designed jacket into the rough and tough marine applications, into the power sports application, because you're going to get this stuff completely beat up. So, we have element ready or marine grade performance RCAs. So, these particular guys are going to have the same. Um, OFC copper conductors like a normal RCA would have.
Mm,
You're also going to have the same C3 technology bin in all of our RCAs. So C3 technology is our continuous construction, connection construction, which means positive input left, positive input right, separate negative shield on each side, and none of these cross over to any channels. None of them are shared. So you're going to have two conductors for left, two conductors for right. the same twisted technology you find in a lot of our RCAs in order to help reduce noise in your system. You're going to have your machine nickel plated ends to help with a better connection and audio passing the signal between different types of connections between the head unit and your amplifiers. And the jacket itself is built to withstand fog, salt, fumes. I mean, anything you could throw at it in a marine and power sports application. This is going to be more durable and definitely more long lasting longevity in these elements that would be different from what you would normally see in a car.
Just seeing you hold that in your hand, if you put that up, you can tell it's beefier.
Oh yeah, I
It
mean
just
it's
just
trying to pull itself back up. I
yeah.
mean this is definitely a lot stronger jacket.
Hmm.
Um, you're not going to pierce this guy. You're not going to, have it squished, behind, different panels and things like that. So this is going to make it, you know,
And
already going to be a big benefit over a normal car RCA in these
so with
applications.
Stinger, just for clarification, is there a separate power sports and marine cabling, or is it all this packaged into one like element ready type cable system?
It's all packaged into one.
Okay.
This is why we do these two logos where it says marine grade and off-road ready. So it
Hmm.
lets you know that you can use this in any application, whether it's marine grade or in your power sports. This is going to be the type of RCA that's going to be what you need for your customer in these particular installs.
Hmm.
Now, next one is going to be a game changer.
Oh.
It's going to be our wire for marine and power sports. Now, I don't want to call anybody out, Ben, but I want to let you know that our power wire is complete ABYC compliant and it is Siamese wire. We were the industry first to make this Siamese paired wire, power and ground in the same jacket.
I see you're
This is
emphasizing
a
this point, Mr. Smith. I see you emphasizing this
industry
point.
first. Industry first, right? No
Show
one
us that again. So, what does
no
that
one
mean
did
by
this before us.
Siamese? What does that mean? Explain.
Siamese means is that it is a single jacket that is
Hmm.
both power and ground. So in marine applications, your red is going to be power, yellow is going to be ground. This is your ABYC color coding for marine applications. So because we can use it in marine and power sports, this makes running wires that much easier in marine and power sports applications. You have power and ground, single run. Excuse me. We have this available in 4 gauge and an 8 gauge. We make rolls of it, 125-foot rolls, 4 gauge and 8 gauge. We also make power kits. Power kits are available in 7 meter, 4 gauge and 8 gauge, and 3 meter, 4 gauge and 8 gauge. So previous to this, you do an amplifier install, you sell a customer, oh, we need to sell you a 4 gauge kit and we need to sell you another 4
Hmm.
gauge kit because we
Hmm.
got to run power and ground.
Hmm.
Now it's
Is it
built in.
more economical, just price wise, to do it this way?
It's definitely more
Okay.
economical and it's also easier on the installation to
Yeah, for
do it
sure.
like this as well.
Oh, I
This
see
is
the
going to be
label, the branding even says Stinger Marine on it.
right. This is
Hmm.
going to be the easiest way to connect um, high powered amplifiers and things like that in marine and power sports applications because you always have to run a power and ground in a boat because a boat's fiberglass, right? So you're
Hmm.
not going to have a chassis ground where you're having to scrape the
Yeah,
paint
it's
and
going
things like
back
that.
from the same place, right?
Yeah, you scrape the
Yeah,
paint and drill a hole in the boat, you
it
got
ain't
bigger
gonna do
problems.
anything for you.
Right? You got bigger problems.
Yeah, you got bigger
So running
problems.
from the battery, power and ground straight back
Mhm.
to your amplifier is the absolute best way to ensure the proper current flow so that your power amplifiers work exactly right. So this jacket surrounds the same 100% copper wire that's found in our Stinger power wire that set standards in our industry for years. The same hyper twist to make it extremely flexible, the same copper that's been tinned to help resist corrosion and to provide a better connectivity in these harsh environments. Also, the jacket itself, Ben, has been tested for salt resistance, water resistant, fog resistance. I mean, everything that you can do to come up UL standards, ABYC standards, everything that you can imagine. This industry first Siamese power wire is a huge win for a lot of shops. You know why? Because a lot of guys have thought outside the box, Ben, and have decided to use this in regular car
I was
installs
just
as well.
wondering, if you're gonna order wire, why would I order two different ones? Why don't I just order this one and we're set?
True, it's more expensive on a roll, but think about it. A 125-foot roll of 8 gauge is actually 250 feet because it's power and ground. Same
Hmm.
thing with 4 gauge. It's a little bit more expensive when
Well,
you
can I
think
just split them if
you
I
could
needed to?
totally just split them. If I had enough fingernails here, I could do it, but you
Right,
could
but you
totally
could.
just split it, and then you go to your positive terminal to your negative
Yeah,
terminal,
but maybe
just
guys
like
just be
that.
like weirded out by the yellow. They're like, I don't understand this. What is this yellow business?
Hey man, this is nowadays. What are we doing? We're zip tying everything. We're tech flexing everything. We're putting loom on
Fair
everything.
enough.
You're not
Fair
going to
enough.
see that yellow very much.
Fair
You
enough.
can put
Fair
some heat
enough.
shrink
Fair
on the
enough.
end of it. It's golden. But in a car
It's all about the
application,
heat shrink, anyways.
right? But in a car
Yeah.
application, though, Ben, think about this. You have a power and ground run in an aluminum chassis vehicle.
Mm.
So now this is going to give you the ability to run a straight home run from the battery directly to your amplifier and not even have to fight those aluminum
Is
chassis
there any
vehicles.
difference in the quality of the copper between the car and the marine?
100% not. We would never put
Zero.
the Stinger name on a product like this. It would not be the same type of quality, full OFC copper wire, just like our normal car
Would you
product.
argue that that jacket is more heavy duty than the car one?
100%.
Mhm.
Because in car,
Mhm.
you don't have to have all the same standards against salt
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
fog and
Mhm.
that type of degradation to the
Mhm.
chassis of the wire itself. So we have to make this wire that much more rugged than the normal car
I'd
wire.
invite dealers to check your pricing and cross reference, and you might find this might be a better purchase overall.
Yeah,
Maybe.
100%.
Maybe. All right.
So let's also talk about power upgrades, Ben. We're Stinger, right? So we not only do we do power wire and RCA upgrades, we have batteries and secondary battery applications, relays, waterproof fuse holders, everything that you can imagine. For your power sports vehicles, we have the SPX 950. This is going to give you more playing time, brighter lights, better cooling power for your fans. I mean, whatever you need within these applications, Ben, we try to go above and beyond the Call of Duty and give you a one-stop shop for everything. We've talked about a head unit. We've talked about speakers. We've talked about switching relays. We've talked about power wire RCAs. Now we're talking about making a power upgrade with a battery, all still under the same brand. So we have the Stinger batteries available specifically for power sports applications as well.
AGM.
AGM
Mhm.
batteries, just like we do in all of our normal Stinger batteries that have set standards for many years. So if we do it in power sports, Ben, would you think we do it for
Probably
marine as
marine. There it
well,
is.
right?
There you
Well,
go.
there you go. We have the SEA 27 Group 27 battery, and you see here in this installation where we've stacked two batteries. We have isolators, our accessories for connecting multiple batteries. We have our battery terminals using the marine grade wire to make things that much easier when we're doing these type of installations. Full deep cycle AGM, and because this is a marine battery, Ben, it has your standard battery terminals and the wing
And
nut terminals too. So now you can make even more connections to that battery without ruining battery terminals, tightening and retightening over and over and over again. So we make sure that we give you all types of applications for upgrading power sports and boat power. We wouldn't be Stinger if we didn't offer insulation accessories. So we offer everything from marine grade circuit breakers. This is not a normal circuit breaker, Ben. This is a marine grade. So they're limited to 150 and 100 amp circuits because according to ABYC standards, individual circuit cannot be higher than 150 amps. Because a lot of guys go, well, your car circuit breakers are 200 amps, 250 amps, 300 amps. We stick to the plan to make sure we meet the requirements for the ABYC association. So that's why those marine ones that are spark proof. Now we've heard
mhm.
other dealers talk about spark proof right on boats in these applications because of the fumes and everything else that you have exposed in marine and power sports applications. You don't want a spark to ignite those fumes and go boom. We want our lights to light up. We don't want our boat or power sports to light up, right?
Somebody
So
has said, I don't think you have ever been around a power sport or a boat that you didn't smell fuel.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly,
Mhm.
because you're filling it up, you're doing this, you're doing that, and there's so many different types of options for danger. We want to make sure that the Stinger application you do is not another source for danger. Dual battery isolators, marine butt connectors, because they have the glue inside of them. Once you make the crimp, you heat
Oh,
them up.
nice. Yeah.
It seals around your wire so that no water, heat, and moisture can get inside of it before you heat shrink over it. Fuse holders, everything like that. Now, this is another newer generation of our SPX fuse holders and quick disconnection plugs, Ben. This is something that I really enjoy because these guys here, we have them available and they're marine grade and certified because of the ability to resist water and corrosion and to protect the circuits. We have 16 gauge mini ATC fuses. We have fuse holders that hold 8 gauge for main system fuses. We have 4 gauge versions available, and we also have the SPX PP4. That's a power, ground, and remote quick disconnect up to
Mm.
4 gauge that'll handle up to 120 amps. I've seen that guy use to completely depower a boat, completely shut down a power sports
That's a big
vehicle.
boy.
I've seen guys use these in motorcycles as a quick disconnect for amplifiers that are in bags, so you can
Oh, right.
completely take your bag off, whatever you need to do. But these guys, Ben, what's really neat, it has a mounting point for your fuse holder, so that when you go to mount it, you have your wires already coming out of it, so you don't have to go in and ruin the ability to keep it waterproof.
Hmm.
These wires are already completely sealed within this neoprene gasket on the bottom, so no water, fog, excuse me, was going to get up into the bottom of this. But then once you take the cap off, you're going to have another gasket as well to help even further keep this circuit completely dry. So this is going to be a ATC style fuse here. And once you completely seal it in there, it's going to lock itself. And then you have a place to mount it with this screw as well. So you can have all these dedicated fuse holders lined up in order to protect these different circuits in your boat or your power sports vehicle. Now let's go into our larger guy here, the ATC 810. This is going to be the type of fuse holder that will take 8 gauge, and there's a 4 gauge version as well. And you can put multiple ATC fuses in this guy. It has your set screws so that your fuse holder can come in and out on either side of it. And it's going to have your set screws for the 8 gauge wire that can go up into this unit itself as well. Now, the gasket on the bottom can be removed as well so that your wire can go up into your terminals, and then you slide this back up inside of it to now create a waterproof
Mm.
seal for the input. Just like the other, we
That's
have the
slick.
gasket on
I like
top,
that. I like that.
right? And then they lock
Click
back
in.
together with the mounting screw up top. Now, you need to change a fuse. Guess what? Now your tool to adjust everything and replace your fuse is right here on the side of the fuse holder, Ben.
Yeah.
So everything's built in to be completely serviceable at the spot of replacing a fuse.
It's as
Thought
if
ahead.
it's as if there are technicians that work at AMP figuring this stuff out. It's as if. I'm just saying.
We have a few technicians
I'm
here. We have
just
a few
saying.
master certified guys.
Yeah,
We have
yeah,
a
yeah,
few,
yeah,
stall
yeah.
of the year type people,
Well,
but we're all
all
has-beens.
those little things make me smile because it's like, wow, somebody thought of that and applied it. That's
Yeah,
pretty
our
amazing.
our our power sports team, and the Stinger team, they really think forward, and they're
Mm.
enthusiasts. So we think about all the things we want in our own vehicles, and we make it so that people can use them and make their vehicles, the best and as safe and extremely user friendly as possible.
All right, Jeff, we're getting running short on time. Let's. Oh, one more category. I knew it. I was
Last
waiting for
last
this
couple
one.
things, lighting.
Yeah.
Lighting, we have, underbody kits. We have RGB underbody kits that are Bluetooth controlled. We sell them in 4-piece kits and 8-piece kits as well. They are RGB Cree LEDs, so they're super bright, and they're IPX65 waterproof rated. Bluetooth controlled from an application, so no need for any switches or anything on your dash. You can control these, with the normal switch or through your switch hub.
Mhm.
Very unique. They have 2 different mounting plates, a flat mounting plate and a rubber gasket to wrap around your roll bars if you need to mount them like that as well.
So
So
these
those
kits, they're called under, but I've seen these people put those on boats and many other applications as well.
correct. So
Mm.
SPX RGB UB underbody kit, right, or bub kit for short. So they come 4-piece or 8-piece. You can use them in ATs in
Mm.
boating applications or in ATV applications to light up whatever you want to do in those applications. Beyond those guys, we have our standard single light rock lights, and these are our ULEDs or universal LEDs that are single colors, same steel housing with um, the Cree LEDs that have a heat sink on the back to keep these LEDs super cool because they're super bright, single color LEDs here in the SPXU LEDs. And these are sold in single colors: white, green, amber, blue, um, red also as well. And you see here in the slide, boating applications, Jeep applications, the bed of a truck, so you can have lighting in the bed of your truck. I mean, there's so many different applications you can use these SPX ULEDs for single color applications. Last couple slides, been really quick. Universal LEDs, of course, RGB LEDs that are RGB controlled through an app. These are standard automotive grade. And then we have the dynamic LEDs, the
Yeah, those are
chasers,
sweet. We've
right?
talked
These are
about
going to
these
be your
before.
dynamic ones that you can do all the different chasing patterns and
Mm.
things like that within as well. These are true marine grade because of the jacket that is on these LEDs that allow you to submerge it, to get it beat up out in the woods, to put it through all the things you would find in a boating application um, there as well. Then the whips, of course, are whips that are quick release whips. They're 4 foot dynamic. You take that same dynamic LED and you wrap it around this flexible fiberglass whip. You make it completely quick release and removable, and you have a color pattern that's extremely unique and helps you be seen out in the woods, seen on your vehicle, on your boat, whatever you'd like to have, in order to make sure that you light up the night and be able to show off around your friends when you're in your power sports or marine or even your vehicle applications.
I wasn't so sure about these whips when they first came out, but now I want one. I don't know why. I don't even know why I want one.
Yeah, they're
Because,
pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
uh,
We mount them on all the Jeeps. We mount them.
mhm.
I mean, so it's literally, and it comes with that little stinger flag at the top because back in the day, people be out in the woods in their 4 wheelers and 3 wheelers and stuff like that, and you had to have a flag so people knew where you were in case
Yes,
there was something happening.
yes,
This
yes.
whip is the same way. It has a stinger flag so people can identify you, and those LEDs are definitely going to have people noticing you wherever you go.
Wicked, wicked, wicked.
So that's it, Ben. That's all I got for you, buddy, on the Power Sports
That's a
Marine.
lot, man. Like it's
It
a
is a
big
lot.
offering. It's a big
It is a
offering.
lot.
It covers a lot of categories. The head unit. There's one model, but it's so loaded and with features and expandability, like you mentioned, Jeff.
Yep.
The switcher, I think, is a game changer. That's really unique, especially in places that are tight. You don't have a lot of dash space. And dude, why forget about the relays? This thing's all built in solid state, right?
Yep.
So that's always a better option, first and foremost.
100%.
Other than that, love to I think the speakers, the subs. Well, one thing I want to ask you about the subs: what was the approximate enclosure volume for, let's say, the 10-inch? Would you have that offhand, just to
I
give you
think
guys? This is like,
the 10 inch is going to work in like a foot and a half.
okay.
Um, and then it works. Excuse me, sealed and ported.
Hmm.
So we do have those on the Stinger website. You can go and look through the manual, and then free air. So it's definitely
And there's two separate models, correct?
single 4 ohm in both 10 inch and 12 inch.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Just to be clear, that color screen, that optically bonded 2.7-inch color, that is not touch screen.
It is not touchscreen.
Okay,
No,
gotcha.
we have all
Perfect.
the buttons on the face of it to completely control it, but it is not touchscreen.
I mean, other than remembering to talk to your engineers about the rear backup camera wiper spray thingy box, I think we can conclude this.
Ben's
Listen,
Nano.
I'm just
cleaning
saying.
service.
But other than that, it's a really complete line. And of course, the lighting. I know we kind of rushed through that at the end, but don't discount the lighting, guys. The whips, and especially that dynamic LED strip. You can do a lot of creative things with that to make customers happy.
Yep.
For those who like disco lights, not for everybody. but
Exactly.
for
Yeah,
those who like
lighting's a big deal these days.
it is.
Lighting will sell lots of products.
It 100% does. And one thing that I find dealers don't show enough: take those lighting products, guys, put them on your display, show people how they work and that they can play with them, and give the controller and to play with it. It's one of the few things we can play with.
Exactly.
And they'll go for it.
Got
Jeff,
a demo
on that
for
note,
anything else? I mean, if they have demos for
yeah,
audio, gotta definitely have demos for lights.
absolutely. On that note, I want to thank you once again, Mr. Smith, for coming on, giving us a full
Appreciate having
lesson
the
on
time, Ben.
everything Stinger related when it comes to marine and power sports. And I certainly look forward to our next session, because I know Amp's got a lot of big news. We'll talk about it another time. But thank you for coming in today.
Not a problem. See you next time.
Take care. There you have it, guys. Jeff Smith, trainer extraordinaire from AMP Global, and of course the Stinger brand, talking all about Stinger goodness in the power sports and marine categories. On that note, I want to remind everybody to continue tuning in to what we're calling the Power Sports Sessions. We are going straight through till Tuesday, April 19th. That's right. Every single day is another featured power sports centric brand. You got them all listed up there. Keep on tuning in, and make sure you check out our website, CMA Networks. Find all our videos on demand. Search for your favorite content, either by brand, by category, or even by trainer. Mr. Smith himself has a profile there. You can check out all the great videos that we've done together. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in to this session of CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM, all about Stinger Power Sports Audio. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about
Stop
you know
it.
what today when we go
Yo.
topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?